am so excited and honored to be here, and I'm excited to share with you my story of hope. So we're all here for this four-letter word. Oops. How do I go back? There we go. We're all here for this four-letter word, hope. Now, I remember the first time I felt hope in school, I was in kindergarten. And the kindergarten teacher was our graduation. She went around to each of the students and asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Some of the students said that they wanted to be a teacher or a firefighter. I remember my cousin Sean, he's my best friend, was standing right next to me, and he said he wanted to be a veterinarian. He loved animals. I thought he was crazy. And then they came to me, and our parents were there, and they said, "Julia, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I looked at everyone, and I said, "I want to work in a hospital." She said, "Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a doctor?" I looked at her, and I said, "No." And then she said, "Well, do you want to be a nurse?" "No." Think about what you would have said, and think about what you think the crazy girl with the purple hair would have said. I ended up saying in kindergarten, "I want to own the place." I didn't think it was a big deal, right? Why not? But I said that because I was full of hope. And that's before life started happening to me, before I started to become hopeless. Life, the kind of life that had my parents divorced. So then I switched schools, and now I'm in a new school. My parents are divorced, and it was the kind of life that had restraining orders involved, where there was violence, where the neighborhood was calling the cops because of what was going on in my home. It was the kind of life, I'm one of 6 kids, that when I was in junior high, a drunk driver hit head-on my mother, my stepfather, my baby brother, and my baby sister. The kind of life where I was sitting in an ICU room watching my older sisters one by one pick the vomit out of each individual strand of my baby sister's hair because the doctor said they were going to have to shave off her head because the bleeding to the brain was causing her to have so much vomit. The kind of life that had one of my parents addicted to drugs, so bad that the ambulance would be called when they OD'd. The kind of life that had my best friend Sean, who I told you was my cousin, have him die from an accidental overdose on methadone drugs when he was just 19 years old. The kind of life that had one of my childhood friends shot and murdered at a house party that I was late to get to. The kind of life that had me dealing with puberty and dating and relationships and girl drama that I swear the movie Mean Girls was made off of. The kind of life that had me as a teenager on my floor, curled up within myself, crying, reaching for this drawer where I had a stashed pile of prescription drugs that I found hidden in my house. And I felt hopelessness just hovering over me, daring me to take a pill, and another pill, and another pill. Now, I have had the privilege and the honor to be able to travel all over the country and hear stories from students from New York City to some crazy place in Michigan I don't even know the name of, to here in Phoenix. And I, even last week, have heard stories that say, I was a kid being on the street doing stupid stuff. I didn't have a family that liked me. They thought I was nothing. I was fat, unworthy. I was ugly, unloved, lonely. These are just a few of the hundreds of thousands of stories I have heard all over the country. And what I've discovered is these voices are not going away just because we don't address them. These stories are not diminishing just because we are not giving them the space to be heard and to be felt seen. Now, ironically, I started to find hope again in school. I was a teenager, and I was a really bad student, y'all, like really bad. And I decided to manipulate the schedule, and I wanted to switch my English teachers for no other reason than my best friend, age, yes, the number, was in a different class, and I wanted to be in her class. So I show up to school, and I switch my schedule, and now I'm walking into Mr. Sliva's English class. Now, I sized him up pretty quick. He was like a skinny, short, white guy with a little bit gray hair. So I was like, he's cool. And I don't mean cool with like swag and style, because he's not that. Sorry, Slivers. But I mean cool with, he's going to let me get away with whatever I want. So I placed a desk right next to my best friend. I don't know what happened the rest of the semester. I would even do things like invite my senior boyfriend at the time to come into class and just hang out. I just literally didn't do anything that he told me to. And I'm pretty sure he didn't not just not like me, I think he hated me. And one day, he decided to support another student that he had and go to the girls' soccer game. Lo and behold, he didn't know I was the captain of the soccer team. So he sees me slamming bodies, slide tackling. He sees me jumping up for headers with girls 3 times my size. He sees me throwing my body in front of the ball that's being kicked full speed at me. And the next day in class, he walks up to me. I won't say what he said, but he basically said, "Holy sh! I had no idea you could do that. I thought you were just this prissy, popular cheerleader chick." And I could have been like, excuse me? And been offended. But the weird thing that happened that I don't know how else to articulate to you, but to describe how I felt, I don't know why this happened, but it was the first time I felt seen by an adult in a way that made me feel like respected, and it made me feel like maybe I am good at something. Because I just channeled sports to let out some rage and anger that I had for the things that I was going through that I didn't know what else to do with. But what he did is he gave me this opportunity to feel like an individual person and to actually ask myself, maybe I am kind of good at something, you know? And I ended up, I'll tell you what happened with that later, but because Sleva had these other friends on campus, some worked at the school, some didn't, but I remember Mr. Hoffman, I remember Mr. Mihal, and who became his wife, Mrs. Mihal. I remember Mrs. Galbraith, and I remember these people on this high school campus that helped facilitate an opportunity for me to explore my potential. They were all really interested in this weird concept called like social justice. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know that, like, being biracial, that I had experienced some of the things that they were like talking about. But they gave me a space to ask about, what is racism? What are gender roles? What is activism? Because that wasn't cool. You didn't want to like actually talk about that stuff in high school. But they gave me an opportunity to actually explore that I was passionate about that. I was someone who wanted to make a difference in the world through activism and through social work. So I'm here today because I became a teen at Hope. And in my work, working with students all over the country, I have found that creating that space is so valuable, but it's having that cultural framework that Kids at Hope provides that actually gets it to make sustainable change. So by collaborating together, we're exploring the possibility of bringing Teens at Hope to high schools and organizations everywhere, where we can have a guided curriculum where they can do activities that are fun and engaging, but also have a lot of substance. And they can focus on the areas of believing, connecting, and time traveling, and also throughout the semester or the organizational year, can focus on different areas of time travel and help them develop their stories of hope and their voices by even having events just like this one, where the kids and the students and the scholars and the teens can produce their own Hope² talks, where they can share their stories of hope through poetry, which I love to do. They could do it through skits, through dances, through music, through monologues. But it gives them that space, because just because they're not saying anything doesn't mean they're not feeling something. And we have to give them these positive channels and outlets, and we have to continue to do that by building these cultural frameworks that support that kind of growth, that support a healthy voice and positive life development skills. I remember feeling hopeless and having that feeling hover over me, and it literally almost stole my story and my life. But feeling hope transformed it and allowed me to rewrite it. And I know every single one of you has either felt hopeless or known someone who has, because it is a power. It is how you embody something. It is not just a word. It is not a metaphor. You are hope, each and every one of you, because you know when someone's feeling hopeless. You know what it looks like. You can hear what it sounds like. You know what it feels like. So imagine if each and every one of us embodied what it felt like to not be hopeless, but to be full of hope. Because that's powerful. And that's what you are all here doing. And I am so proud and honored to be a part of this community, because this is what is going to transform the world. It is you, because you are hope. And I want to thank you so much for showing up and investing in that hope, for not letting it die because of the life that happened to you, for not letting it die because of those people who told you you can't or you won't or you don't deserve things that you really want, but for continuing to fuel that hope and to embody it here today. So I like to end with a little bit of poetry. Can't really help myself. Is that cool with y'all? But before I do, I want to tell you what Hope did for me. Hope allowed me to not only graduate high school when I thought I would never make it out of my teens alive, but Hope allowed me to earn an athletic and academic scholarship to play D2 soccer in New York. Hope allowed me to graduate from my undergraduate degree, to get a master's degree, and to now be a doctoral candidate who, if I hurry up, I will be the first woman in my family to have a doctorate degree, so I hope I hurry. Not that I want everyone to do it, but Hope has allowed me at 24 years old to write and publish a book that was in Barnes & Noble. That was crazy. Blip in the universe. Hope has allowed me to be a proud mother. Hope has allowed me to see addiction that once stole so many lives in my family in so many different ways, to allow them to see them be healthy and to be happy individuals in my family. Hope has allowed me to start organizations like the True Movement or the Rewrite Project, and Hope has allowed me to be here today. Because naturally, I don't really believe in myself. Because that hopelessness that always hovers, it tells me I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserving. But it's the hope that always conquers that. It's always the hope. So I hope today you all know that you are that hope. By you guys being here, it gave me a place to be and to show my hope. So thank you so much. But before I go, I'm going to have you all help me out with this poem. I am going to say I am, and you're going to say hope. You got it? Pretty simple. I am hope. Okay, I didn't hear y'all. I am hope. I love it. I love it. I am hope. Okay, so when I ask you that, I got to hear it real loud and proud. And they don't just say it, they believe it to be true because they're not afraid to go out and do it. No one else has the guts to. We need to wake up and let the world know that we were here and make it crystal clear that we are here to stay. And nothing that they do or say will ever stop or get in our way, because the future is all of ours for the taking. And we need to start making it happen and not being blinded by the pain and loss life throws our way. Instead, we all need to be able to stand up. We all need to be able to stand up, look our dreams in the eyes, and say, I am hope. I am hope. One more time, I am hope. Give somebody around you a big squeeze and say, you are hope, and I am hopeful. Thank you. Thank you. And I would love to come and squeeze any of you, but again, here's just some of the ideas we have for the Teens at Hope. If you would like to help us develop this concept into reality, please talk to some of the Kids at Hope family to develop Teens at Hope. And if you would like to come, give me a hug, get a card, chat with me, I would love to meet you. So thank you again.